Recent studies conducted in the bustling metropolis of New York City have revealed an interesting pattern. Waking up early, especially before 4 a.m., can lead to unexpected problems if not approached mindfully. Over time, the habits we form during these early hours, when the body is most vulnerable, have a profound impact on our health. This is especially true for those who aspire to live a long and active life, reaching 90 or even 100 years. However, few people talk about the hidden danger. There are 5 common mistakes that people often make when waking up too early. Each of these mistakes gradually but steadily weakens our strength, undermines our immunity, and drains our vitality. We will now discuss 5 things that are strictly not recommended if you wake up before 4 a.m. By avoiding these mistakes, you can not only extend your life, but also feel more balanced, energized, and healthy in the future. From how we use our minds during these quiet hours to how we care for our bodies, each of these mistakes seems minor at first glance, but the long-term consequences can be surprisingly serious. Awareness of these 5 key points will not only protect your health, but also give you a sense of control over your morning, which many lose with age. A simple change can redefine how we live, think, and feel each new day. The first mistake is reaching for your phone or screen too early. One of the most common mistakes after waking up before 4 a.m. is the habit of picking up your phone or turning on a screen before sunrise. It may seem harmless to quickly check messages, scroll through the newsfeed, or watch a short video to pass the time. However, this seemingly insignificant action can overload the nervous system before we fully wake up. During these early hours, the brain is in a particularly vulnerable state. It has not yet developed the natural hormonal balance needed for a smooth transition to an active day. As soon as we expose our eyes to bright artificial blue light, the body receives a completely different signal. Wake up immediately, even if it is too early. And it's not just about sleep disruption. Early screen exposure suppresses the production of melatonin, a hormone that plays a key role in regulating sleep quality, maintaining immunity, and even cell repair. When we block its production too early, we not only feel drowsy during the day, but also weaken the biological systems that support the body's stable state as we age. The negative impact of early awakenings affects not only vision and cognitive functions, but also the cardiovascular system, digestive tract, and blood pressure, as all these processes are governed by internal biological clocks. Premature exposure to blue light from electronic device screens disrupts the body's natural rhythm, disrupting the coordinated work of all systems. Although the initial consequences may be subtle, they accumulate over time, leading to imbalances in cortisol production, increased inflammation, and increased fatigue during the day. As we age, recovery from such internal disruptions becomes increasingly difficult, creating an additional burden on the body that would have been much easier to handle in youth. Some people may justify using gadgets early in the morning by needing to check the weather forecast or read the news. But it is important to remember that the brain reacts not only to the content of the information, but also to the time it is received. Even brief exposure to bright light at the wrong time can trigger the release of stress hormones that should not be active at this time of day. As an alternative, it is recommended to spend the first few minutes after waking up in dim light, allowing the body to wake up gradually. Instead of immediately turning on electronic devices, you can simply look out the window and observe the morning darkness. This approach allows the nervous system to engage smoothly and naturally. This not only promotes a more peaceful awakening, but also has a protective effect on the body. Many people report a significant increase in energy during the day after giving up using screens in the first morning minutes. Biological clocks are a powerful tool for maintaining health and longevity, but only if a person learns to interact with them rather than counteract them. Another common mistake when waking up early is skipping morning hydration. Waking up before 4 a.m. puts the body in a unique physiological state. At this time, the body is still in the process of recovering from nighttime regeneration, detoxification, and rest. One of the most important yet often underestimated needs during this period is hydration. After a prolonged night's sleep without fluid intake, the body is naturally dehydrated. However, many people, upon waking, immediately rush into their day, forgetting about water or replacing it with coffee, unaware of the stress this places on an already vulnerable aging system. Ignoring hydration immediately after waking can have several adverse consequences for the body. Blood becomes thicker, slowing blood flow and forcing the heart to work harder to deliver essential nutrients to tissues. In youth, this may not be so apparent, but with age, especially after 60, 70 years, the cumulative effect can increase the risk of blood pressure spikes, dizziness, fatigue, and even stroke-related conditions. Morning dehydration also contributes to elevated cortisol levels, a key stress hormone. While cortisol plays an important role in helping us wake up and become active, its excess, uncompensated by sufficient water, can persist for many hours. High cortisol levels are associated with abdominal fat accumulation, muscle loss, increased anxiety, and impaired memory in older age. The kidneys, which filter waste from the blood, also need sufficient fluid to function effectively. Neglecting morning hydration forces the kidneys to operate without the necessary fuel. Over time, this practice can lead to their wear and tear, especially in older adults with sensitive kidneys or high blood pressure. Even a small glass of room temperature water, drunk before coffee, breakfast, or starting any activity, can have a significant positive impact on the body. Some people add a pinch of sea salt or a little lemon juice to the water to improve absorption and provide the body with additional minerals. However, the key factor is consistency. This first glass of water acts as a gentle reset for the body's systems, signaling the brain that it's ready for a new day. Therefore, upon waking, making hydration a priority habit can lead to greater stability, mental clarity, and alertness without excessive caffeine consumption, providing the body with one of the simplest and most effective means for maintaining longevity. Regarding physical exercise, it should be noted that, despite the recognized benefits of morning workouts for health and active longevity, the timing and intensity of physical activity must be considered, especially with age. Starting intense workouts immediately after waking, especially if waking occurs before 4 a.m., is not recommended as it can harm the body. Thus, the choice of timing and intensity of physical activity is just as important as the exercises themselves. Waking up early and immediately engaging in intense physical activity can be a serious challenge for the body, which has not yet fully awakened. During this period, the joints are stiff, the muscles remain cold, and the cardiovascular system is not functioning at full capacity. Immediately starting a high-intensity workout, whether it's heavy weightlifting, sprinting, or vigorous cardio, can be a real shock to the entire body. While such a load may only result in temporary fatigue for young people in their 20s and 30s, for people over 60-70, it can lead to blood pressure spikes, joint inflammation, and even increased stress on the heart. In this context, the body can be compared to a car engine that has been idle all night. No one would immediately push the gas pedal to the floor in freezing weather, expecting flawless performance. Similarly, with the body, older adults are much more susceptible to injury or slowed recovery after excessive strain in the morning hours. Paradoxically, many of them sincerely believe they are doing the right thing, striving for productivity, discipline, and strength. But in reality, they are only subjecting their bodies to unnecessary stress. This does not mean that movement is harmful. On the contrary, moderate physical activity in the morning can be extremely beneficial if approached with due caution. Light stretching, a leisurely walk, deep breathing, or a gentle mobilization warm-up can help the body wake up naturally. Such actions help improve blood circulation without overloading the system with stress hormones, provide the joints with time to lubricate, allow the heart to gradually increase its heart rate, and allow the nervous system to adapt. However, if you immediately start jumping rope, running, or lifting weights upon waking, your body receives a danger signal. With age, the consequences of such signals become increasingly serious, especially with regular repetition. One respondent, a 70-year-old former builder, shared his experience. He used to wake up at 3:45 a.m. every day and start intense workouts, believing it would strengthen his heart. However, after a few months, he began to experience chest tightness, constant muscle pain, and chronic fatigue. After switching to gentle movements, soft yoga, floor exercises, and walks immediately after waking, his energy returned, and his sleep improved significantly. The human body is a complex instrument that requires careful attention, not an object to be forcibly subjected to will. This is especially true in the morning hours, when the body is most sensitive to internal signals. Tension, stiffness, and fatigue should be perceived not as a sign of weakness, but as important messages that need to be deciphered. Respecting these signals will allow the body to reward its owner with resilience and longevity. Before starting a morning workout, it's important to ask yourself, is this an attempt to fill yourself with energy or a desire to overload yourself? In the latter case, you should be gentle and allow yourself to start the day in a more sparing mode. It is in this careful attitude towards yourself that the secret of a long and fulfilling life lies. Equally important is avoiding overloading the mind with stressful thoughts and heavy plans. Waking up before dawn can be a time of peace and tranquility, when the silence is not yet broken by the hustle and bustle of the coming day. However, there is a danger of falling into a trap that is common to many responsible and productive people. Immediately immersing oneself in planning, worries, and the endless stream of news from social media. At first glance, this may seem useful, organizing thoughts, checking schedules, making to-do lists. But in reality, the mind is being saturated with stress before the nervous system has had time to prepare for it. In the early morning hours, the brain is in the so-called alpha state, a state of heightened sensitivity, close to meditative. At this time, creative abilities are particularly pronounced. A sense of calm is felt, and internal restoration takes place. However, in this state, a person is also more susceptible to emotions and external influences. Filling the mind with negativity, anxiety, and internal pressure, whether it's thinking about bills, checking email, or dwelling on old grievances, programs the day for stress before it even begins. For older adults, such early mental stress can have particularly serious consequences. Studies show that mental overload immediately after waking can disrupt cortisol production rhythms, weaken the immune system, and even raise blood sugar levels. If this practice is repeated day after day, year after year, the consequences become not only emotional, but also physical. Memory deteriorates, energy levels decrease, and resistance to disease diminishes. Moreover, these changes often go unnoticed until a serious malfunction occurs in the body. This is not about indulging in laziness or shirking responsibilities, but about wisely managing time. It is no coincidence that ancient spiritual practices, long-lived individuals, and adherents of health traditions consider the pre-dawn hours to be a time for silence, contemplation, and prayer, not for active activity. They have learned that it is in the morning hours that the soul is most receptive and the body is most pliable. One venerable lady, now 78 years old, shared her experience. She used to wake up at 3:30 a.m. and immediately immerse herself in thinking about family problems, medical bills, and other pressing matters. By 7 a.m. she felt completely drained, and her blood pressure would spike. However, over time, she changed her morning routine. Instead of immediately grabbing her planner, she started with slow breathing exercises, reading inspiring texts, and writing down at least one thing she was grateful for. This simple ritual transformed her attitude not only towards the morning, but also towards life as a whole. If you notice that your mind is overflowing with thoughts before sunrise, this indicates a desire of the mind to control the situation. But there is another way. Instead of planning, focus on the present moment. Instead of correcting mistakes, listen to your feelings. Even 5 minutes devoted to calm breathing, gentle self-reflection, or simply enjoying a cup of warm tea will help your brain find a foundation for a fulfilling day. It's important to remember that our thoughts have a direct impact on our hormonal background, immune system, and even on the aging process, especially in the morning hours. Therefore, this time should be cherished as sacred, for it truly is. It is crucial not to neglect gently tuning the body and breath. One of the most effective, yet unfortunately underestimated practices that can be performed immediately upon waking is the synchronization of body movements and breath, before plunging headlong into daily concerns. One of the most common mistakes is completely ignoring this vital step. Many older adults, upon waking early in the morning, leisurely head to the kitchen, turn on the lights, and immediately start their day, without giving their bodies a moment to gently awaken and prepare for active movement. However, it is this transitional moment, connecting breath, muscles, and awareness, that is often overlooked. This is not merely a pleasant routine, but a deeply healing practice. Overnight, the body's muscles become tighter, circulation slows down, and breathing becomes more shallow. As we age, these natural slowing processes can lead to waking up feeling stiff, mentally foggy, or even anxious. Rushing from a state of rest to activity can mean missing a precious opportunity to reboot the body, restore energy flow, align the body, and find inner peace. Without this, the nervous system remains tense, posture suffers, and the body begins the day already in a state of stress, which it may not even have had time to recognize and release. This may seem insignificant at first glance, but scientific evidence suggests otherwise. Gentle movements and breathing exercises performed immediately upon waking activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which plays a key role in rest, digestion, immunity, and recovery. Stimulating the body through gentle stretches or mindful breathing helps to lower blood pressure, stabilize heart rate, and harmonize the digestive and hormonal systems. This process can be compared to tuning a musical instrument before a concert. The performance is possible without preparation, but the sound quality will be significantly inferior. In older adults who neglect this important step, negative consequences eventually manifest. Morning fatigue, impaired circulation in the lower extremities, abdominal discomfort, and emotional instability. Such manifestations should not be regarded solely as inevitable signs of aging. Often, they are a consequence of the body not receiving the necessary impetus for a smooth transition to an active state. The absence of this fulcrum leads to the dissipation of energy. A person may experience unexplained tension, loss of concentration, and a feeling of discomfort, even if external circumstances do not foreshadow negative changes. Fortunately, the solution to this problem is simple and does not require significant time investment. Simply sit on the edge of the bed, placing one hand on the chest and the other on the abdomen. Then, practice slow breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. It is recommended to repeat this cycle 3 times. After that, you can proceed with gentle arm stretches upwards, shoulder rotations, and head tilts to the sides. Smooth torso twists to the right and left complete the exercise. If the condition of the knee joints allows, you can perform a forward bend, trying to touch the toes. Otherwise, it is enough to perform movements with conscious attention. And that's it. Just you and your breath, peacefully welcoming the new day. The author shares a real-life example. One elderly man, 81 years old, complained of irritability and tension in the mornings. He woke up long before dawn, around 4 a.m., hastily ate breakfast, and immediately turned on the television. Not surprisingly, he suffered from neck pain, his thoughts were muddled, and his overall well-being corresponded to a person at least 10 years older. After consulting a doctor, he was recommended a 5-minute breathing and movement exercise routine. At first, this idea seemed frivolous to him, but after just a week, his wife noted a significant improvement in his emotional state. After 2 weeks, his posture improved, and after a month, he admitted that he felt like himself for the first time in many years. Neglecting mindful practices performed at a calm pace is a subtle form of self-neglect, whereas every person deserves more attentive self-care. One deserves a start to the day that does not drain strength, but rather fills it. Movements should bring energy, not exhaust. And breathing should serve as a reminder that you are alive, you are here, and you deserve care. Tomorrow morning, as the first rays of sunlight begin to break through the horizon, resist the urge to rush, jump out of bed, and force things. Start with breathing exercises, allowing your body to unfold like a flower, doing so slowly, patiently, and with self-love. The result will not be long in coming. You will be amazed at how much it affects your day, and ultimately, the quality and length of your life. In conclusion, before finishing, take a moment to reflect on these 5 morning rituals. Which one surprised you the most? Which one made you think about whether you might be doing something similar without realizing its impact? That is the power of mindfulness. It doesn't judge, but simply opens up new horizons. And when a door opens, change becomes possible and natural. It's not about striving for perfection, not about strictly following a regimen, and not about feeling guilty for a bad morning. It's important to allow yourself to slow down, listen to the needs of your body, and develop habits that suit your age and current stage of life, especially after 60, 70, and 80, when energy, recovery, and mental clarity become more important than ever. If waking up before 4 a.m. has become a habit, and all actions are performed automatically, let this information remind you that the body is not the problem. It is always trying to help. It just needs a gentler approach, more conscious care, and a better rhythm. The truth is that once you start paying proper attention to yourself, health not only stabilizes, but also transforms. So what can you do right now? Choose one of these 5 habits and try to make a change tomorrow. Perhaps it will be giving up your phone, drinking a glass of water before talking to anyone, or doing a light stretch before getting out of bed. Start small. Let this small decision give you confidence, and then let it become the new standard. Your life path is not an accident, but the result of resilience and the ability to adapt. While many gave up, you found the strength to move on. Now you have the task of preserving this potential, learning to give your body, mind, and soul what they truly deserve every morning. The solution to this problem lies within you. All it takes is a little attention, clear organization, and boundless kindness to yourself. See you in the next issue.